Greetings, challengers, and welcome to the Youth Climate Challenge Video 2, Identifying the Problem. My name is Alex with the Climate Science Alliance, and I'm excited to be guiding you through the Youth Climate Challenge. This is video number 2 in a series of 5, so if you haven't seen the first one, please make sure to go back and review. In this presentation, we are going to briefly cover the broader problem we are facing, climate change, and then we are going to walk you through the process of understanding how climate change is impacting your community specifically, and start to develop a plan for tackling this issue. As a reminder, by participating in the Youth Climate Challenge, you are agreeing to abide by the community agreements set forth on page 5 of the Youth Climate Challenge packet. Thank you for your recognition of the agreements and participation in this challenge. Let's get started. Climate change is a pretty big topic in our world today, and it has significant impacts to us and the places that we love. That's why it's important that we work together to understand climate change so we can help protect our planet. So what is it? What is climate change? For such a big phenomenon, it's actually pretty simple. It's important first to remember that our climate has always changed, but now, because of human actions, it is changing more and faster than it ever has. Our climate is currently changing as a result of human activities that release pollution from fossil fuels into the environment. By doing things such as driving cars or using lots of energy, we contribute to this pollution. These activities release tiny, invisible molecules into the air called greenhouse gases. Now, over time, these molecules will build up and begin to act like a thick blanket that traps heat around the Earth. This blanket causes the atmosphere to warm and puts the Earth's system out of balance. Though there are global consequences to climate change, such as polar ice melting, rising seas, and warming temperatures, these changes impact us differently depending on where we live. Where I'm located, here in Southern California, we see the impacts of climate change differently than someone might in the Caribbean or perhaps in the Arctic. Here, climate change looks like rising temperatures, more variable precipitation or rain events, drought, extreme wildfire, and more. Each of these impacts can have significant consequences for both my community and yours. And this is why we're all here, to take on this climate challenge and do something about it. Only when we know what we're up against can we begin to come up with solutions. Thus, identifying the problem is the first task of our challenge. In your team, take this opportunity to discuss what climate change looks like for you and how it might be impacting the natural and human communities where you live. We recommend brainstorming 2 to 3 climate problems or themes for your community. At the same time, start to begin to thinking about different activities you might engage in or steps you might take to address those climate themes or problems. You can use page 6 in your Youth Climate Challenge program packet to brainstorm your ideas, or feel free to use large sticky notes or maybe a whiteboard or even sidewalk chalk on the pavement outside if you need more space. Big ideas need a lot of room for brainstorming. A couple of key things to remember as we go through the process is that planning for climate change is no easy task, and at times it can seem very daunting, but just remember you are not alone. Also, as our communities are different, so will our plans be. Do not be afraid to ask questions of your community mentors or receive feedback from other groups. And as always, remember when critiquing others' projects or ideas, that good feedback is kind, specific, and helpful. As you start your brainstorm, we recommend reviewing page 7 in your Youth Climate Challenge program packet if you need some additional inspiration or ideas to get you started. Some of the climate themes you might address are topics such as school gardening, community engagement, or even waste management. Remember, there are so many different angles you can take. These are just a few examples. Once you have decided on a climate theme, you can start to think of different activities you could take on to address those themes. For example, if my climate theme was community engagement, I could develop a climate awareness workshop to educate other students about climate impacts in my community and what they could do to help. Another activity might be to write or compile a children's book to educate younger students on a climate issue. There are many options you and your team might come up with. Things to keep in mind as you're brainstorming ideas. Keep your activities to a tangible size for you and your group. Remember that this is a starting point, and you can always go bigger, but it's good to start with an idea you know that you can get traction on. Also, when thinking about ideas, focus on what makes sense for your community. And lastly, think about your gifts and your passions and how you might use them in your project. If you're an artist or a photographer, writer, how might you use those skills to implement your activities? Once you and your team have collectively decided the climate themes or problems you would like to address and what activities you might lead to do this, please summarize your thoughts in the space available on page 7. The brainstorming process might take some time, so feel free to pause at any point during this video or come back once you have completed this piece. As an example from the activities we discussed earlier, if I picked a school garden as my climate theme to address, this would fall under the themes of local food, water efficiency and use of composting, and school gardening. So I would check those boxes and add my proposed activities on the right of research native plants in my region and create a climate-friendly buying guide, and work with local students to plant a community garden. Again, these are just examples to get you inspired. This concludes the Identifying the Problem video of the Youth Climate Challenge. Thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you in video 3, Collective Challenges, where we will start to sketch out the different pieces of our challenge project. In the meantime, we encourage you to like or subscribe to our channels for engaging climate education content and to share your experiences participating in the Youth Climate Challenge. We can't wait to hear from you and see you all soon.